Alrighty, YouTube Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. So the 49ers look onward to Sunday versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tomorrow, obviously, Week 11 kicks off with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night, which, to be honest, will probably be the best matchup we have had all year long on Thursday Night Football. The matchups for Thursday Night Football have been terrible for like the past couple of years. The Thursday night games used to be very, very good games when they used to air them on NFL Network, but it seems like ever since they made the switch over to Prime, the games have been terrible. And I think a lot of that has to do with the NFL, putting a bunch of bad games on Thursday night. It's almost like they want to put the bad matchup games on Thursday night just to get them out of the way, but it's also prime time, and it's like, why would you want two bad teams to play on a Thursday night? It's still a prime time game, so definitely more excited for a decent Sunday night football game tomorrow. You could argue that the Ravens are a top team in the NFL. You could argue that the Bengals are a top 5 team in the NFL. And like I said, it's probably one of the better matchups that we've had all year on Thursday night. But either way, it's not what this video is about. The 49ers will look onward to playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As far as injuries coming out of last week's game, the 49ers only had one big injury. And of course, it had to be to the offensive line again with Colton McKivitz having that ankle injury, which I talked about in my recent video. I did say in that video, though, that I think Colton McKivitz has struggled this season, and the 49ers should probably just decide to start Jalen Moore instead. But we'll see what happens with that. But that's really the only notable injury that the 49ers had against Jacksonville. They actually came out of that game fairly healthy, which is always a good thing for the 49ers, given how injured they are typically, week in and week out of NFL season. So, obviously with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were both able to end their losing skids in Week 10. The Bucs beat the Titans 20-6, in which was a game that I thought the Titans should have won. Will Levis didn't really look that good. I know Tampa Bay's defense was kind of overwhelming for Will Levis. At least that's what it seemed like when I was watching on Red Zone. But either way, the Bucs beat the Titans 20-6, so they're coming off of a win as well. And Tampa's had a really good season with Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield has played some of the best ball he's played in his career. He's still a guy that has concerns in terms of turnovers and things of that nature, but to be honest, I thought Baker Mayfield has played fine this year. He has an elite wide receiver core over there with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Cade Otton has been a very solid target for Baker Mayfield as well, the Buccaneers tight end. So this will be a tough game for the Niners. By no means should they underestimate this Buccaneers team. I think the 49ers learned their lesson in terms of, taking it one game at a time. Fred Warner talked about this as well earlier this week about how he felt like that 3-game losing streak was a real wake-up call for them in terms of just being able to take each week one day at a time. I think that's the biggest thing in the NFL, though. You can't look on and forward and not, think about the moment present and think about the games that the 49ers are playing now. It's always got to be 1 week at a time. It's such a cliche thing to say, but it's true. You don't want to look forward. You don't want to look to the past. Week by week, you move on and forward. You don't dwell on any wins or losses or anything of that nature. And I think the 49ers did a really good job about doing that coming out of the bye week, not stressing over the past couple losses that they've had and kind of moving on. And each week is a different week. Each week, teams are going to play different. I think the 49ers, losing those 3 games, in a way I'm kind of glad it happened because it was a true wake-up call. Now, At the same time, I'm not glad it happened because that kind of killed the 49ers, opportunity to potentially get the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. But at the end of the day, I mean, San Francisco is a good enough team to get to the Super Bowl, whether they have to play on the road throughout every single game in the playoffs or not. Clearly, if the 49ers win the NFC West, which right now that needs to be their main focus, they need to stop worrying about, and I don't even know if this is something they're worrying about, but they don't need to worry about getting the number 1 seed in the NFC playoff picture. It's more so right now with Seattle competing, in the NFC West. It's more so about figuring out a way to win the NFC West. The Niners will play the Seahawks 2 times in 3 weeks coming up after Tampa Bay. So it's more so right now about, making sure you take care of the NFC West and winning that before you think about potentially winning the NFC or getting the number 1 seed in the NFC playoff picture. So I definitely think, I definitely think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a really good defense. We seen them play the 49ers last year. The 49ers beat them by, I think, 33 points. I think that was Brock Purdy's first full game starting for the Niners, but Brock Purdy played well in that game. Tampa struggled a lot last year. I feel like this Tampa team, and you guys may think I'm crazy, but this Tampa team this year is better than they were last year with Tom Brady. And I'm not saying that because they have Baker Mayfield, they're better. I'm just saying in the sense of how they are playing right now, they're either just about the same or probably a little bit better than what they were last year when the 49ers played them. So again, the 49ers can't underestimate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's going to be a tough game. The good news is that the 49ers are obviously staying on the West Coast since it's a home game. So, yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of theme going into each and every week. Forget about the Jags win. At this point, that win was huge for the Niners. They're 6-3. They have an elite record now. They didn't fall to 5-4, so that's huge. They're still number 1 seed in the NFC West. But right now, it's about playing the Buccaneers. They can't think of what they did last week. They have to continue to keep their foot on the gas down this important stretch of games coming up. And yeah, I mean, the Bucs team is, it's a team where, they have a great defense. If Brock Purdy is, turning the ball over, fumbles, interceptions, whatever the case may be, the 49ers are going to have a hard time winning this football game. But I think the biggest thing going into this game is, again, hopefully that D-line can keep their foot on the gas as well in terms of, how they were playing last week, which I would expect them to. I think this defensive line has officially woke up. They were pretty much non-existent in the 3 games that the 49ers lost. With the addition of Chase Young, of course, his presence has been felt clearly, especially last week, with him and Bosa teaming up on Trevor Lawrence and getting sacks. But yeah, man, like I said, take it 1 week at a time. I think this 49ers team should win this game. This is another game the 49ers need to win. They're at home against a mediocre Tampa Bay team, but it's definitely not a team that you take lightly. I think Tampa can... there's ways Tampa can win this football game as well, but at the end of the day, the 49ers should win. But yeah, I mean, like I said, take it 1 game at a time. They're going to need to go into this week forgetting about last week and not thinking about, games past the Tampa Bay game. Go into this week, take care of business, improve to 7-3, and then obviously you could argue with the most important stretch of games coming up after that. Seattle on Thanksgiving. You got the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly the following week. And then you come back and you're at home against the Seattle Seahawks. So a lot of tough games coming up, including this Tampa Bay game. But again, I think this is a game in which the 49ers should win. And obviously in the preview video, I'm going to be getting into all the keys to win the football game, my score prediction, and things of that nature. But yeah, for now, I just kind of wanted to come on here and talk about, Week 11 a little bit going into this game, what they need to do and things of that nature. So, yeah, again, it's a game the Niners need to win. They need to improve to 7-3 and not dip to 6-4. I don't know who Seattle plays this week. Let's see. I want to say they play. Okay, so they got the Rams actually. So Seattle's going to be playing the Rams, which, by the way, the Rams beat them the first time they played them earlier in the season. The Rams beat them 30-13, and it looks like that was actually Week 1 when they played. So yeah, I mean the Rams kicked the daylight out of the Seahawks last time they played. So we have to hope for a Niners win and a Seattle loss. I definitely think the Seattle-LA Rams game this week is going to be a lot closer than I think what a lot of people think. That game could really go either way. But yeah, at the end of the day, the 49ers don't need to be thinking about anything else but this Tampa Bay game and how they can improve to 7-3.